How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a throwback. Well, a lot of a throwback. So these are repaints of a mold that came out almost 7 years ago. Can you believe that? Beast boxes have been around for that long. Actually, even longer than that, almost a decade. So the original versions of each one of these would have been BB-07 Behemoth and BB-06 Rhyden. And they're kind of pastel colored rhino and hippo, of course. I only came into this line just a few years ago, and I found these two online and was particularly drawn to this particular set. And we're going to talk about why that is for just a little bit as this review progresses. And as far as these two go, I'm not exactly sure when they were released. I'm going to guess it was probably about a year after the originals, but obviously they've been around for about 5 or 6 years, maybe even a little bit longer than that. One way or the other, this particular mold has been on the market, goes without saying, for quite a long time. And given the amount of time that a figure may typically be on the market and available for retail, that is a pretty long stretch. So they're kind of long in the tooth there. They're still out there available for sale at different retail outlets, but they are getting kind of hard to find right now. In fact, I don't even think you can get an original hippo or rhino through 52Toys AliExpress store. They may have them available on Amazon. I'm not totally sure about that. But so anyways, between these two, you got a bunch of different themes going on here. For one, you kind of got a little bit of a theme on those old style tin wind-up toys from back in the 50s and 60s and whatever. And each of them has this little wind-up key on it. So that's kind of a cool little nod to history of toys. And at least as far as these two figures go, I feel like you got a little bit of a circle of life thing going on here. So on the one hand, you got a character like Blue Armor, who's an enforcer, a police agent or whatever, who will knock you down. And then you have a character like Painkiller decked out in his first aid motif, and he'll patch you right up, and then he'll knock you down again, so... And part of the appeal to me was that both of these characters are on theme with what I like to call...
boxes with jobs. Oh yeah.
One way or the other. So if you're familiar at all with beast boxes, you can probably see just by looking at these that they're very outdated designs. I still think they're very charming. I love their boxy mechanical toy styling with the wind-up key, the saddlebag storage, and their bespoke accessories. So between the two, we'll talk about some figure details for each one of these for a little bit here. As far as Painkiller goes, the lower teeth double as a 3mm port, so you can put a little accessory in there. And the little bird that it comes with is on theme for the real-life animal that does actually get inside of a hippo's mouth and kind of cleans out its hide and that kind of thing. And there's a little more to it than that. This little bird actually doubles as a gun, so it's got a little tail for a gun, which is something else that we're going to see more of from 52Toys. In case you don't know, there is another figure coming out that is a bird that literally doubles as a gun. We're going to be seeing that. Be on the lookout for it. I think that one is going to wind up being a huge hit. And as far as its paint scheme, let's take a look at this for a moment. You've got this great first aid motif. So you got emergency ambulance. It's all in red and white, you know, crimson red. A little bit of blue highlight detail on there and the eyes and the hooves and that kind of thing. Some silver accents on it. So it's got kind of a combination of a very mechanical look and a very boxy look, come to think of it. So, and you got this little graphic imprint here, which I assume stands for Beastbox Emergency Ambulance. Yeah, so a lot of great transparent reds in here. It's just a beautifully done figure. And between the two, you don't really have a whole lot in the way of articulation. Their limbs are on ball joints, so you can kind of twist them around and that kind of thing a little bit. Kind of turn them out to the side a little bit, get a little bit of splayed action there. And the head can open up. You have a mobile chomper there, mobile jaw. So it is part of their earlier efforts, goes without saying, but so you can get some expressiveness out of there, but ultimately given the overall shape and style of this particular creature, kind of goes without saying there are some limitations on it. And that's something else I'll say here is, you know, between kind of the opaque and the transparent red plastics here, the ones on top here, in a way, kind of double as like ambulance lights, so that's kind of a cool little touch there. And you got that 999 emergency on there on the back. That's, yeah, beautifully done. And one other thing I guess I should say about this particular figure is I don't know if it was like released as an exclusive figure or what, but it is kind of a limited release. So this is kind of one of those things that if you were out there looking for it, you're probably going to have a hard time finding it. I think it is still out there for retail, but it's in very, very limited supply, and the people who do actually have it are kind of asking a premium for it, so just be aware of that. And as far as Mr. Blue Armor here, this was an offshoot release, but for the most part, at least as far as I saw over the past few years, it's been widely available. Yeah, it's got a beautiful paint scheme on here. I love this deep blue, and then you got mixed in with here silver and then dark gray, and then the black motif on here. Got a little wind-up key, of course, and it has a great looking head sculpt. I loved all these beveled edge details and whatever. It just looks very robotic and mechanical. You got an opening and closing jaw in there. Very nice. It's kind of interesting here. We'll take a look at that when it transforms, but the second rhino horn here is connected to its eyes, so you get a little bit of expressiveness as far as that goes. You got its ears that can turn there. My biggest beef with this particular figure design is just sort of the odd disparity between the front and hind legs. So on the front, you've got these sort of clawed hooves or whatever, and that is actually part of its transformation. But on the back here, they're just sort of flat, shapeless. I guess you would call that a hoof. I don't know. There again, it's got some very nice graphic details, same as Painkiller. Little bits and pieces there. Shows where the rotation is and whatever, almost like tail lights or something like that on the hind quarters. Then you've got these bullet shot graphics here. On this side, you've got a SWAT team logo and the wording SWAT on there. And some more nice styling on here, number 22 and armor. And as far as its little accessory here, this little frog gun, I guess. It's kind of an oddity. One other thing that I don't totally care for about this particular figure is it only comes with the one gun, and you're either stuck pulling out the wind-up key and then inserting into its back, or you have a little bit of asymmetry and you just have to put it on the side there, which is usually how I display it. One or the other, basically. And be that as it may, like I mentioned before, it does have storage on it. So you've got these sort of saddlebag sides here. Again, part of its overall boxy shape here. So you can stick a gun in there, close that up, and then you can do the same with the wind-up key. Except you probably need to get it in there in a certain way. Yeah. Anyways, having said that, we'll go ahead and do a transformation demo. So first thing you may want to do is lift the tail up and then bring out the saddlebags there. They're just connected to the tabs on the inside on the undercarriage here. Just pull that out like that. Bring them out to the sides there. And in the head, you want to rotate the ears down, close up the jaw, roll up the horn there. So you just want to make sure you get the secondary horn there in that position, and you'll get that one tucked inside that groove there. Then the underbelly here is kind of on this double hinge, so you actually want to pull it out and down from the middle, and that'll collapse the head down into that position. And if you heard that snap, it'll snap into place there. The hind legs will rotate over and around on these hinges like that. And then for the hoof, you just want to rotate that up and over so it's flat up against the front of the leg there. And what that does is that gives you a tab right here, and that'll connect on the hoof of the hind leg there. So, and I should say that this tab will connect to that slide on the inside there. So you just want to make sure you have enough room to do that. And those will connect into place like so. I believe I got that. No, didn't get that right. So, yeah, there we go. Now there is kind of a tab and groove connection here on the side with the leg. So you'll just want to make sure you have that lined up. Do it the same on both sides. And then there again, you got that tab and groove connection with the hoof. Those will connect just like that. And then we're going to bring the tail down, connect that into place, scrunch it up if needed. And I don't think it takes much scrunching because this is a very basic box transformation. And there's your box mode. Because it's so easy, we're going to show it again. So we're going to take the accessories there, put them in their storage. Close the jaw up. It's much simpler for Painkiller. Then close the ears forward like that. There again, bring the tail up, open up the saddlebags on the sides there, and then you can start swinging the legs around. So there again, we're pulling from the center part of that double hinge there, pulling that down and over, and it collapses in just like so. Head snaps into place. Just want to make sure you swing the legs over like that so you've got clearance. And then you can close that up. So there again, tab and groove connection. Bring these around. That's going to connect into that little groove right there. And there again, these are earlier designs, so there's a little bit of wiggly waggly in them. But for the most part, as long as you get everything connected solid in any of those grooves, you pretty much got it. So we'll flatten up the hooves there, connect them to those tabs, of course, on the front, like so. Same on that side. Connect them in there, get the tail. Bring that down and around. Do a little scrunching and straightening up here. Yep, and there we go. Box mode number 2. So what I'll say about these is I really do like the styling of the box. As with a lot of other things, a lot of this kind of stuff is kind of up to your interpretation. So, but for me, just given their overall boxy nature and, you know, the fact that they actually have storage as animals and boxes, I kind of take them to be kind of like crates in a way. So in a way, you've got like this armored weapons crate, which by the way is pretty cool. I didn't point this out before, but that's kind of a neat little bit of detail on this particular figure. The Rhino does have these little rivets and kind of plate armor detail on here, which I think is an extra nice little touch. Then you've got this beveled edge here on the side here. That's part of the neck joint, and the head kind of collapses in there. And, you know, a little bit of open junk in there. Again, this is an earlier design. But then again, with this one, you've got what is sort of a medical supply crate. There again, you know, you got that beveled edge here. Just some overall nice styling and detailing here. So... And what's interesting to me is on theme with what these characters are, you know, boxes with jobs, the crate appearance itself does not take anything out of what this character's, I guess, kind of purpose and function and frankly, its job is. So, I mean, it's either a medical crate or it's a medical hippo. So it's not hard to see that one way or the other. Basically, what I'm saying is you don't lose anything from the character when it turns into a box, which I think is a little bit on the rare side and a little bit missing in a lot of the more modern Beastbox designs. And frankly, I just really love 52Toys' sense of humor on this kind of stuff. I mean, the fact that they have a hippo named Painkiller, and it's, you know, a first aid type hippo or whatever, is just a double entendre that is just beyond hilarious to me. I love their sense of humor. But anyways, and something else I'll point out here to the uninitiated is this is what you call a box charger. And that's what the storage is for these particular characters. It's just pretty simple design. It's got an opening lid here. And this is an earlier box charger. There's a lot of newer ones that have a lot of knobs and things like that you can actually attach, you know, 3 and 5 millimeter port type weapons and accessories and things like that on it. The original box charger and the newer one are a very clever, kind of irreplaceable design because you have so many different ways that you can stack these things. So you can stack them sideways with that little groove on the side there. Pretty effortless. And there again, lid opens and closes very easily on both of these. You can stack them on top of each other with the legs, little feet, I guess, if you want to call it that. And they stack very well. An interesting thing about Beastboxes, given their 5 centimeter design, or at least most of these Beastboxes, this is a 5 centimeter figure design, is they don't have a huge amount of weight to them, so you could stack these things, got to be 10 or 12 high if you've got the room for it. So it works as excellent storage, and like I was saying before, these figures fit right in their box charger. Fantastic. So that's a quick look at BB-07PK Painkiller and BB-06BA Blue Armor. This review is just intended to be a quick throwback for these particular figures. They're very old figure designs, and I gotta imagine they're probably on their way out of the market here pretty soon. Like I said, they're getting a little harder to find at retail. They're still out there, so if you wanted to get one without paying an arm and a leg, you'd probably be better off going to find one sooner than later, I would say. So today, one thing missing from this review, I didn't go over details of the packaging that it comes in, and I didn't even do a box grade. So if you would like to see a box grade for these figures, let me know with a comment and I can circle back around and get something done for that. So I do take requests. That's something I have to kind of remind people every now and then. And yeah, much more to come for reviews on this channel. I've got a lot more Beastbox reviews planned and coming up in the pipeline here, and it's basically just a matter of time if I can get around to filming them and produce them and that kind of thing. But I do enjoy showing my collection off, and I like interacting with other people who collect this kind of stuff. So one way or the other, this has been X Mattingly giving you a Beastbox review. If you could take a moment to leave a like, definitely leave me a comment. Share this with a friend if you got somebody who might be interested in Beastboxes. Just kind of show them what it's all about and that kind of thing. I would greatly appreciate it. That definitely helps my channel out. One way or the other, I will talk to you in the near future, and have yourself a great week. Take care.